Add the fractions. First, we're going to factor the denominators and then determine the lowest common denominator. So first we need to factor our 15j squared minus 29j minus 14. We're going to use my father drives a red Mustang in order to do this. The M stands for multiply A times C. So we have j squared minus 29j, and then 15 times negative 14, which is negative 210. The next step is to factor. So we're going to factor this trinomial. We know we need two numbers that multiply to negative 210, but when we add them, we get negative 29. So let's list a few of our options. So negative 210, we could do negative 10 times 21. We could do positive 10 times a negative 21. We could do 3 times a negative 70. And we could do negative 3 times a positive 70. We could do 6 times 35. We could do, negative 35, or negative 6 times a positive 35. Okay, let's check these. If we were to add them together, what we would get. So if we added these, we would get 11. If we added these, we would get negative 11. Okay, but we're looking for negative 29. If we added these, we'd get negative 67. If we added these two, we'd get positive 67. If I added these, I'd get negative 29. If I added these, I'd get positive 29. Okay, so right here I have a positive 6 and a negative 35. It gives me a negative 29. So positive 6 and negative 35 multiply to negative 210, but when we add them, we get negative 29. Next step, we're going to divide by our a value. A was 15, so j plus 6 over 15 and j minus 35 over 15. Next, I'm going to reduce the fraction. So j plus, both of these are divisible by 3, so we have 2 over 5. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Then we have these two are divisible by 5, so 35 divided by 5 is 7. 15 divided by 5 is 3. My last step is to move the denominator in front of the variable. So I have 5j plus 2 and 3j minus 7. So my first one factored is 5j plus 2 and 3j minus 7. The other factor or other denominator is 5j plus 2. So since these factors are in common, we're going to count the one with the highest exponent. They have the same, they're both to the first power, so we're going to count one of these factors and one of these unique factors. So my lowest common denominator equals 5j plus 2 and 3j minus 7. Now I'm going to use that to continue the process. So we've determined that my lowest common denominator was 5j plus 2 times 3j minus 7. Now on to the next step. I'm going to multiply as needed to make the denominators the same. So I have 6j plus 5 divided by, when we factored this, this was 5j plus 2 times 3j minus 7 plus, I had 7j plus 2 over 5j plus 2. What I'm missing in my denominator, I still need a 3j minus 7. So I need to multiply the numerator as well as the denominator by that 3j minus 7. Now my denominators are the same. So I'm going to multiply these out so I can add and subtract the numerators. So I have 6j plus 5 plus, I have 7j times 3j is 21j squared. I have 7j times negative 7 is negative 49j. I have 2 times 3j is 6j. And 2 times negative 7, which is negative 14. All of this is over the same denominator since we have a common denominator. So our denominator is 5j plus 2 times 3j minus 7. I'm going to simplify the numerator by combining like terms. So I have a 21j squared. For my regular j's, I have 6j and 6j is positive 12j, and a negative 49, so I have negative 37j. And for numbers, I have 5 and negative 14, which is negative 9. And this is all over my 5j plus 2 and 3j minus 7. So I've now simplified the numerator. So my simplified numerator was 21j squared minus 37j minus 9. And my denominator that I had was 5j plus 2 and 3j minus 7. Okay, I'm going to be sure that there's no common factors. Okay, this appears not factorable, so we're going to leave this like this. So my final answer is going to be in expanded form. So I'm going to multiply out my denominator. So this equals 21j squared minus 37j minus 9 over, I have 5j times 3j, which is 15j squared. 5j times negative 7 is negative 35j. 2 times 3j is 6j. And 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. When I combine these like terms here in the middle, I get 21j squared minus 37j minus 9 over 15j squared minus 29j, because negative 35 plus 6 is negative 29, minus 14. So my final answer is 21j squared minus 37j minus 9 over 15j squared minus 29j minus 14.